And that is why I keep saying that age must be used as a predictor, because time is important with readiness. Age and readiness, it correlates. Both goes hand in hand. For a woman, you need to focus on a man who has taken that time to prepare to be a husband. And for a man, you need to focus on a woman who has spent that time to prepare herself to become a wife. Because there are a lot of people both on both sides of the coin, both men and women, who are at the age but they did not spend the time to prepare themselves to be husbands and wives. And you have to have the spirit of discernment to be able to discern that, to understand that, hey, you are 34, you are 35, but mentally, emotionally, you are not there. You are there financially, physically on the outside, you look good, but there's no substance on the inside. You are not speaking marital language. What's up, Unfiltered fam? Welcome back to another one. An Unfiltered Hard Talks with the Dawkins. And you know, of course, we keep it real, raw and unfiltered. Babe, how are you feeling today?
I am feeling very happy that we finally got to wear what I wanted us to always wear. Never thought it would be for this video, but I believe it's coming together well. I love the
You love the
satin
burgundy on me?
burgundy, the wine red. I love it.
Yeah, this seems to be more like wine red than it is
Yes, I
burgundy.
love it.
Yours look like more like
Like
burgundy.
it does. I just love. I love satin.
But that's a
I
sexy
love
dress,
it.
though.
Is
That's a nice
so.
dress.
It's sexy modest because
Yeah.
there's not too much showing.
Yeah, it
The split
covers
is on this side versus
Right.
that side.
And the
This has
split
a
can also be lent.
and
So
the split can be
yeah,
lengthened or shortened, and the this up here is just
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
you
it.
look
I love
beautiful,
it.
babe.
Thank you,
As
baby.
always.
And you look very handsome. You
Thank
you
you,
just
baby.
look you
Delicious.
look so good. Me da go say techish, but me want. Like you just look so damn good, and I can't use any other word but damn good.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
you
that.
look fine.
Yeah. All right. Don't let me. Okay. All right. All right. What do you have for us today?
Well, I have a beautiful comment that when we read it, it warmed our heart. So this comment is from Lillian Williams 5500.
Mm-hmm.
Lillian Williams 5500 said, "I'm new to your channel, but glad you dropped into my feed. You're a beautiful couple. I'm looking forward to seeing you again, heart." And that is to the video that we posted on Nothing's Wrong with the Dress.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you
Yeah,
haven't
that
seen
video.
that video,
Mm-hmm.
go and check it out. It's our first viral video, actually, over on YouTube. It is going up. It's
Yeah.
at like 7K the last time we checked.
Yeah.
So check that
Yeah, and
video
that's a
out.
milestone achievement for us,
Definitely.
given where we are,
Yes.
and
As
short,
new
yeah,
podcasters, less
yeah,
than a year.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we appreciate the comment. It means a lot to us, and thank
Thank
you
you.
for stopping by. Unfiltered Hard Talks, so
And we hope that you stay. We hope you're not just stopping by. We hope that you love us enough to stick around, to stay, to be a part of our
yeah,
community and add to the value that we are bringing to this digital space.
yeah. All right, what are we talking about today, babe? What are we talking about? What is the conversation about today?
Well, talking about viral videos, recently or a couple months ago, we had a viral video over on TikTok. It went viral because we were talking about preparedness for
Marriage, age, preparedness,
especially age, where
especially
young
where
men were
young men,
concerned.
right?
And
It sparked major debate.
yeah,
Major
it
debate.
sparked a lot of debate in the comment section.
Yeah.
And some people were tugging towards age is just a number. Other people were mostly women were saying that age is just a number. And most of the men were realizing that absolutely, I was
Well, there are
ready,
some men that were saying that, hey, age is just a number for real.
very few of them, but they were
so
saying that too.
yeah.
Yes.
So today we're having this discussion. We're having a conversation, not as a side note, but in a deeper context.
Absolutely.
And we're going to be looking at the context behind why many young adults,
Mhm.
early 20s, especially young men,
Especially young men.
are at a
Yeah.
disadvantage when it comes to marriage readiness.
Absolutely.
Let's get into it.
Our love isn't absent problems, but it sure is absent drama. You deserve this kind of love. Unfiltered Heart Talks with the Dawkins.
So, my love, as we saw in the comments section, a lot of people veered towards saying age was merely a number and that had nothing to do with it. There was this one lady that she said, I have a young man and it's the best I've ever been treated and he does this and that for me. And she's older than him. And she was boasting practically about her young guy that has treated her better than any older man. And age is not the issue here.
Right.
It is important. Age is not the issue, it's preparedness. And we cannot deny the fact that age and preparedness somehow
It's
goes
correlated.
hand in hand.
Yeah,
And to deny that fact would be omitting reality from the equation.
exactly. And what we need to understand is that age, or readiness rather, is the standard. Preparedness is the standard. But age and preparedness is correlated. And that is because experience grows with age.
That is so true.
Emotional maturity
Big one, babe.
develops over time.
Over time.
And a point to note here is that a lot of time we hear it, people always ask for two things, the two biggest things.
Unpop the balloon.
I think in general,
Yeah.
I think in general among the dating community, people want someone who is led by God,
Yeah.
especially women.
Mm-hmm.
And they also want someone who is emotionally intelligent.
That is vital.
And what people don't, very few people, even on Pop the Balloon, you will hear come on and they talk about someone who is emotionally intelligent and emotionally mature. Because a lot of people don't know that there's a difference between the two.
Yes, absolutely.
And some people think that if you're emotionally intelligent, then
that
it
means you're
that
automatically
Right.
emotionally mature.
But practicality,
yeah,
application is different
from knowledge. It's like book knowledge versus street knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can know about God, but to
then you
live like I know God, it's two different things.
Or to be a doctor, you can know all the stuff in your head, but to apply it is a whole different thing.
Right.
So emotional intelligence is knowing for knowing, which is nothing. And emotional maturity is knowing for being
Yes.
which is everything.
Right. One, emotional maturity comes over time.
Absolutely.
And the saying is true. We have been hearing this from, in Jamaica, would I say, we idea we need, right?
Yeah.
And it's true. Experience teaches wisdom.
Absolutely.
Right?
Always.
Wisdom come from experience. And sometimes I will always say to my wife thinks that I'm just old sometimes. But I'll say to her, young but no storm.
I mean, my
You know?
word kind of.
Because the reality is, you might think you know, but you don't really know. And the beautiful thing about knowledge is that the more you learn, the more you realize that you don't know.
Absolutely. Did I tell you, babe? When I was in grade 6, I shared this in our love story. If you have not seen our love story and you're wondering how did these two get together, check out our love story. It's one of the first videos on our channel. I remember sharing in our love story, love, that when I was in grade 6, I thought I was grown.
Mhm.
When I was in 5th form and I was in like a senior in high school, I thought I was grown. You see, when I got to college, second year, I was like, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I'm just learning.
I remember before I went to theological school, I was a fast learner. Because I remember when I just joined the church, I was what's that little class called again? For new
Freshman seminar.
Well, I don't think
No?
that's what it was
What
called.
it was?
I forgot. I'm older.
What? I love
but
that.
but we had that beginners class for newly baptized members, and I spent
I
a
don't
very
know.
short time in that class, a very short time, in
Bible
known time,
class?
within within Sabbath school, when we were
Okay.
doing Sabbath school there.
Mhm.
I remember within my first, in less than a year, probably less than 3 months, I was moved up to the adult class because I was reading so much, I was gathering the knowledge so much,
Mhm.
and so I started asking a lot of questions as well during Bible class, and being in that era of your life, especially within the new baptismal phase, you just feel like,
Yes.
oh, I'm him.
Yes.
You have the zeal, you are
Yes.
zealous, and you are just in the word, and you're studying, you're reading. When I got to theological seminar, I realized that
You know nothing.
everything that I thought I knew was garbage.
Wow.
It was complete
It was
rubbish.
milk.
It was milk. And then when they started really teaching us biblical theology, you started learning about manuscripts and all of these things, you're realizing that, wow,
I have not arrived.
you are not even close.
Wow.
When it comes to biblical studies and biblical understanding, it has no end. It's a bottomless well,
Wow.
you know. But what it does is that it humbles me.
Mm.
You always have those people who have that dogmatic phase, and they just believe that they know
Yes.
everything.
We all
you
go
know
through it.
I think we all do, and
Yes.
we talk about knowledge, we talk about things just like how people talk about marriage readiness as though we know it all,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't. you
Absolutely.
know but when you get to that place where you are well learned and well educated, and you understand that you really don't know, it humbles you.
And you're open to actually receiving. It's almost like you become
Discussions.
a little child.
hmm
Yes.
hmm So again, emotional maturity, it does come over time.
An
It comes with
experience.
age. It
Yeah.
comes with age. Let that sink in. Secondly, well, thirdly, if
Mm-hmm.
I can say thirdly, and this is very, very important,
Especially for young men.
especially for my wife always say me say especially.
Guys, if you heard him say expressly, every time he says expressly in this video, please let us know in the comment section below.
Yeah, but my wife always says
He says
especially. But
expressly.
especially for
Mhm.
young men, financial stability comes over time. And that's a
Yeah,
fact.
absolutely.
That's a fact that cannot be denied. Unless you were born with a gold spoon in your mouth, financial stability, upward social mobility, that comes with time.
Yes, it's earned, it's worked for.
Exposure to long term responsibility, that also increases with age.
Yes.
Now, mind you, you have young people like myself
Mhm.
who grew up in sole parent homes. And so a lot of the responsibilities that adults should have been shouldering, it fell on us
Yes.
as young men growing up. So from a very young age, a lot of us learn how to cook, how to wash our own clothes, learn how to iron, put seam in our pants, and all of those. Because I've been doing this from I used to go to all age school,
Mhm.
you know. So that's a long time. That's something that
Yes.
these kids now aren't. They don't even know how to cook at my
Yeah.
age at that time.
So in other words, you
You
had
know,
to like adapt.
I had to adapt.
Yes.
But does that adaptation means that I was ready for marriage in
Absolutely
my early
not.
20s?
No.
It doesn't. It
No.
doesn't. Because marriage is not only about having an understanding how to take care of yourself. And that's one of the things I think people miss when we have this conversation, is that a lot of people feel as though marriage is about knowing how to take care of yourself. And if you know how to take care of yourself, then you should know how to take care of your wife. But that's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So those are very important things that people need to understand.
All right, guys. Because we talk so much about relationships here, we want to mention Or Ritual. It's an online counseling platform for couples and relationship support. The link is in the description for anyone interested in learning more or accessing affordable relationship support. Absolutely, love. So young men in their 20s, especially early 20s, as you
Early
mentioned,
20s, yes.
they're not ready for that level of commitment
Right.
and to shoulder that level of responsibility, not because they're weak or incapable, but because life hasn't given them enough runway
Exactly.
to test their tires. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying?
Exactly. And scientifically, um, for men, our financial earning increases with
With
time,
age,
with
yes.
age,
And
you
time.
know. And it's very important to point out that this conversation doesn't only apply to young men, even though young men are at a higher disadvantage. Context matters, right? But it also applies to young women in their early
Absolutely.
20s. And I would take this conversation back to history.
Mhm.
The reason why I say young women are at a disadvantage as well,
Mhm.
when we look at history,
Yes.
right? You had grandmothers in the home, you had grandfathers in the home, you had fathers in the home, you had mothers in the home. Back then, young women were taught to be a wife, to be a mother, to be a lady. And I chose to use the word lady there because it draws a distinction, right?
Mhm.
And the distinction is modesty,
Mhm.
develop character, conduct, positive God given conduct that
Mhm.
men saw in that time to be wives, right? So young women were taught how to be wives, they were taught how to be mothers, and they were taught how to care for a man at a tender age. Young women are no longer being taught how to be wives.
Definitely.
Young women are not being taught how to be mothers. They are not taught how
Yes.
to be ladies.
So, in other words, both men and women are at a disadvantage because the
Disadvantage.
homes in which boys and girls are growing up today are either single parent homes, or if both parents are in the home, mom is a boss babe and dad is
Huh.
going out and
Or an
just
Instagram body.
or an Instagram body, or dad is just sleeping around, or being
Right.
mothered by mom. So the examples are not there.
The
I remember I
values.
remember I was sharing with you that we wouldn't say that everybody
Mhm.
in their early 20s would be disqualified from
Right. There are always
pursuing
exceptions,
marriage, because
obviously.
we were talking about the Amish community and those people, those communities where their sole purpose is to prepare
Mhm.
the boy and the girl to
To
become man and
right.
woman, and to pursue the calling
Mhm.
of companionship and multiplication, right? Where children are concerned. And in those communities, their focus is on just that. That is the mission. They get up, they milk the cows,
Mhm.
they are taught how to be a lady, they're taught how to be a gentleman.
Young men are taught
They're
how to be
taught
husbands.
young men are taught how to be husbands. Women
Yeah.
are taught how to be wives and
Wives.
homemakers
Right.
and to be nurturers. So in those communities, when you see them getting married at 18, 19, 20, 21, they
They
have
they
been
ha-
trained
they have
since
been
the
trained.
womb.
Right.
That
Right.
but nowadays we don't have that.
Right.
A lot of women don't have mom and dad around, or even if they have mom around, mom is the Instagram body, or if mom is even present, they are looking on Instagram on what
Mhm.
a woman should be.
So
And so the man is doing the
right.
same, the boy is doing the same.
Right. So social media is what really grows children
Yeah,
in
and grandma is
2020
not around anymore,
in the
and there's no
21st century.
community.
Right. And even if the mother is not an IG body or a boss babe, they are so consumed with keeping up with the economy, they're almost not present. You know,
Yes.
when I think about my childhood sometimes, and of course it's not something that I like talking about, I think about my mom was hardly present in the home
Yes.
because she was
Always about the hustle.
always about the hustle,
Yeah.
always trying to make sure that
She's elevated.
she's
Yeah.
elevated. You know, there was little attention given to us as children.
Mm.
So it's difficult. And not only that, we're also living in an era where feminism, this demonic movement, I call it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, has been teaching young women or telling young women or conditioning young women that they need to be boss babes.
And they don't need
That's
a man.
and they don't need a man. You know,
And I think this, what we're mentioning now heavily relates to the topic that we discussed before about the sacredness of sex and the
sex and
importance of
covenant
marriage
and
and what that
marriage.
means on a deeper level, not just what society has
Right,
defined it as.
right.
Definitely check that video out, guys, if you
Yeah.
have not seen it yet.
Yeah. And guys, we want to look at some data here.
Yes.
Baby, you're gonna help me with the reading because
Okay.
the last time when we did that toxic relationship video, there was that huge word that I couldn't pronounce. But yeah, we want to look at some data. It's important to point out that data, especially when it comes to psychological data and sociological data, those things comes from lived experience.
Absolutely.
They didn't generate these data out of thin air. They didn't find them in an historical book. These data came from lived experience. So I just wanted to point that out. I think that was important to note that these data are from lived experience. So according to the recent US Census data, listen to this. Go, babe.
Fewer young adults today are meeting traditional adulthood milestones such as work, independence, marriage, and having kids compared to 50-year-olds.
50 years ago. To 50 years ago. Compared to 50 years ago.
I'm sorry. Compared to 50 years ago.
Compared to 50 years ago. It says in 1975, nearly half of 25 to 34-year-olds had all 4 major milestones completed.
Work,
Meaning that,
independence, marriage, and kids.
yes.
Wow.
Meaning that a 24-year-old or 25-year-old young man was financially stable.
Independent,
I know, go
married,
back a
and
Bible
having
days.
children.
Don't go back a Bible days. Because those young men in the Bible, they were trained to be men.
Yeah, and I see somebody coming in the
Husbands and
comments
all of
though,
those
babe. I
things.
see somebody coming in the comments and saying, "Well, those men were getting married when they were 30s and 40s." We have to look at context here, guys. These men were living to 1,000, almost 1,000. So getting married at 30 would be roughly around or age.
Mhm.
If you get what I mean.
Right, right,
Yes.
right.
So if somebody's living to 900, 30 is
Yeah.
practically teenager.
Yeah.
So
There is a vast difference too,
Mhm.
because they had the financial wealth.
yes,
Wealth was kept in the family.
absolutely.
Somehow I've never experienced wealth before.
Oh.
I've seen billionaires. I've shook their hands. you know, but I've never experienced. I didn't have that privilege to grow up in a home with a wealthy family. And I cannot tell you that there was anybody in my generation who was wealthy. Well, yeah. In my family, I can think
One or
about
two.
1 or 2 people who
Mhm.
they are well off. But that's not my family. they are just uncles that I know.
Mhm.
So I don't know what that looks like. These
Yes.
guys in Bible,
Their
their
fathers.
fathers trained them and
Yes.
prepared them for these things.
So it wasn't a
Right?
distant kind of.
Yeah, you didn't have to work for
thought.
it. You didn't have to earn it. You just needed to be born in that family. That's it.
Yeah.
And those family had good values, good morals, good principles.
Yes.
And so they instilled those values within you. So you were prepared, you were ready, you were trained, you were taught.
And that's why the Bible talks so heavily about a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, which are his grandchildren. So generational wealth is important.
It's very, very important.
And
it's very important.
It's a shame to not leave a legacy behind.
Trust me, for your children.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, at 25 to 34 years old, they had all 4 major milestones. By 2023, less than a quarter
had met them all.
Because
most people just have a job now.
Most people have a job.
Most people have a job and children. Or
and
they
kids,
just have children and no job.
And struggling to get by, living from paycheck to paycheck.
Yes.
Says young adults are prioritizing economic stability over family formation
Yes.
due to rising living costs and other pressures.
And this is based on
Census,
census.gov.
government census,
Yes.
right? Go to the other one, babe.
Younger adults are delaying marriage. The share of adults age 18 to 24 who are married has dropped significantly compared to 3 decades ago. Significantly dropped.
Significantly.
And at the same time, marriage rates for those 25 to 29 and 30 to 34 have also declined, meaning couples are forming families later in life overall.
And here's why. It's not just a choice. It's a response to the economy, the economic crisis or economic realities, right? Young adults face higher debt levels, higher housing costs, and hey, I don't even want to get into that section of housing costs right now in 2026. Slower paths to financial independence, right? Census data shows that when comparing people at 21 in the 1980s to today, significantly fewer are financially independent
or even working
full-time. Full-time.
So if that is the case,
And just to say before that, another reason why readiness gets delayed.
yes.
So I wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and another major reason for marriages failing is finances.
Financial
A lack of financial
stability is also
is one of the big reasons a lot
why
of marriages fail.
because that
It is
brings a
important.
lot of stress and families.
Absolutely.
When you're not in that position as a man.
And people think
You
that it's
know?
just like, oh, with children, even couples without children,
Yeah.
financial strain eventually breaks the relationship,
Eventually
especially
breaks the
a young
relationship, yeah.
relationship.
Let me tell you, I understand that there are exemptions,
Absolutely.
you know, and context matters. But I think it's irresponsible of any man, including myself, to be at an age where you know that you are struggling. And I'm not talking about men who are at a literal disadvantage. And that's why I said context matters. But if you're in the position to work, to take care of your responsibilities, to develop yourself, to grow, mature, and prepare yourself, you know, for marriage and for life and for the challenges that will come with these things, and you make a choice or do stupid things to prevent you from accomplishing that establishment, trust me, you are doing a disjustice to a woman when you take her up or when you even propose to her. It's not right.
It's not right.
It is not right.
It's not right.
And another thing, so young men's earnings today look very different than in previous generations. Median earnings for non-college young men have seen only modest increases. And for some groups, they remain below earlier benchmark levels when adjusted for inflation.
Talk
So
about inflation.
I don't want to hear, oh, when I was your age, I was working 10 cents. Or
10 cents, and no, you're working $10.
I know you're working
$10 or
$100.
$100.
Like,
it doesn't equate.
It doesn't equate. It doesn't equate at all. You know, and that's what people adjust it to inflation, and let's see who is making more. You probably making 10 times more than me working 10 cents an hour.
With no responsibility.
Because 10 cents
way less responsibilities.
10 cents could probably buy you how much they were. I remember when I was growing up, I used to hear people talking about, oh, somebody pays $700 for, I mean,
land,
acres of land.
Yes.
$700. And you're talking about we in our country, we are paying $4 million for not even half.
Wow.
So adjust it to inflation and see which one of us was making more money. $700 you were paying for land, you were 5 times, 10 times richer than, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So people make those thoughts. It's crazy. Young workers also face a job market that favors experience, meaning they have to wait longer to climb the income ladder.
Mm-hmm.
So we can clearly see, based on data, that all of this undermines the idea that young people, especially young men, have the same economic runway of that previous generations had. It's not there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not there.
And you know, that is so true, love. And with that weight on the current generation, the financial weight,
Mm-hmm.
and how much harder it is to have all four,
All
you
four.
know, financial stability has become the primary goal and
Focus
focus for
for young
many
people.
young people,
Mm-hmm.
and marriage is put in the backseat,
Yeah.
right? Also, what we find is that only half of those said people believe that they'll ever be married. Another thing,
Mm-hmm.
even though we find that a lot of these young people are thinking that they'll never get married,
Mm-hmm.
women are a little bit more optimistic than men
Yes.
in this pool. They hope for the chance to one day find a partner. Remember that song I shared with you by Ray?
By Ray.
Where is my husband?
Mm-hmm.
So women are definitely
Looking forward to
more
that just the same.
optimistic,
Optimistic.
despite the financial struggle and the strain. They're looking forward to marriage compared to men. Men are on the lower side of that.
And with all of this, it tells you that financial stability becomes a prerequisite for marriage preparedness
Especially
in today's
in today's
economic.
economy, yeah.
It's crazy
Mm-hmm.
because we have to understand as men that we have to fulfill our purpose. And our purpose, as we spoke about this in the last video, our purpose as men is to take care of God's creation.
Yes.
And the last thing that came in God's creation week was what?
The wife, the
The wife,
companion.
the woman, the companion. So we are also to take care of our wives.
Yes.
The reality is that though a lot of people might think that, oh, your wife should come first before your purpose, as a man, your purpose must come first because a part of that purpose is taking care of your wife.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no purpose as a man without your wife. Your wife is a part of that purpose.
So that you're saying the purpose comes first and the wife comes after.
No, I'm saying you must focus on your purpose as a
And your
man.
wife.
Focus on your purpose as a man.
Uh-huh.
And a part of that purpose is also your
Your
wife.
wife.
It's a package,
Mm.
right? So it is no focusing on your wife, then your purpose. It is always focusing on your purpose because your wife is a part of that package.
And that makes sense why a lot of I heard this one speaker say one of the most important decisions you can make in your life is the person you choose to marry.
Mm-hmm.
And he spoke about how his wife was a big part of why he was able to accomplish so much because
Right.
she was a part of his purpose, the goals, the visions, everything aligned,
Right.
and she was right there. So that's interesting.
But that's a thing,
Is that
as
what
we
you're
said.
saying?
Right, definitely.
Okay.
And that's a thing, as we said, that when you understand marriage from the lens of the Bible, God, who is the originator, then you understand that as a man, your wife is also a part of your purpose.
Mm.
And so it means that you must ensure that you are in the position to take care of your responsibility
Yes.
or your responsibilities, which is also your wife,
Mm.
right? So we need time as young men. We need time to develop, time to grow emotionally. We need to be able to learn to, we need time to grow.
Yes.
And 20 21, 22,
22.
you're still in the learning phase.
Yes.
And there
Anything
is
under
something
20, 28. Anything under
Yeah.
28. And even then, anything under
27,
30.
I would say 27, 28.
I think you're balancing out at 27, 28. 30 is when you start
Yeah,
leveling
27,
off.
28, you're balancing out.
And then third, it's like
30, it's different.
this is how I see it. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. You start leveling off
Right.
in some way, but you still climb
Right.
because you're still learning.
Right. And a lot of people will say that, hey, I know 30-year-old men
That are
who
still
still
immature.
acting. I know 50-year-old men who are still acting mature. But again, guys, that's where suitability comes in. This is where discernment, spiritual discernment comes in, because there will always be those who just don't fit within the data.
Yeah.
You know, there will always be exceptions. There are exceptions on both sides of the coin. There are exceptions for young men who will get married at 22 and they will survive.
And
then and thrive. And then there will be young men who get married at 30, 34 and the marriage will fail. You know, so exceptions are always on both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to use your spiritual discernment. That's why you have conversations and that's why you date properly. Check out our video on dating as well and courtship. Don't miss the two stages. Dating and courtship is very important in the selection process when you're trying to find your long-term partner. And through those stages, through those phases, you focus on suitability, not compatibility. Don't get carried away by worldly anomalies when it comes to relationship and dating. Focus on the core, focus on the foundation. And the foundation of marriage and relationship and companionship, anything relating to woman and man coming together, or a woman and a man coming together, it comes from the Bible. That's where it originated. It's not a social construct. Marriage is not about, oh, I'm financially stable now, so let's get it done. No. There's a lot of mental preparation that needs to get done.
There's more mental. Marriage is more, it's like 80% mental and everything else.
Yeah.
Because you can weather anything with the right mindset.
You need to be emotionally intelligent and emotionally mature, because you must know how to apply, and it takes effectively, and it takes maturity to do
know
that.
Yeah.
All right? So that is very important.
So, love, even though we have stressed that readiness is important, age is also important, right? So it's not age instead of readiness. It's age as a predictor. Because what comes with age? Experiences. Right?
Right.
Older individuals, I know from my experience, the older I get, the more I've had time to exercise discipline.
Yes.
And to grow in discipline. So if you don't have that with years, you know, as we talk about the runway, we don't have much runway. To work with.
It's like when we were watching Pop the Balloon, and we watch Pop the Balloon a lot, guys.
Yeah,
honestly.
Shout out to Pop the Balloon. Thank you, Arlette.
Yeah, we watch Pop the Balloon a lot. Yeah. And it's like we were watching that episode, and the guy said that, listen, I'm over. The first thing he said is that when the young lady said, what have you learned from your last relationship? And he said, honestly, I've my therapist. I've learned something from my therapist
that you should listen to.
That I should listen to my therapist, and I should stop trying to save broken women. And we have talked about not just broken women, but people in general, broken people, right? Because that is what important.
Video is that, love?
I think that is healing from trauma.
Guys, short promo. Check out our video, Healing from Trauma. If you have not watched that video, you would definitely enjoy it. Now, back to the video.
Right. And that was so profound.
Yes.
Because people need to hear that more often, and people need to understand what it means.
Absolutely.
And then he went on to say, listen, I'm over
the
pretty
cute
face and the nice body and all of that.
Yes.
I'm about substance.
Exactly.
He
had that no nonsense look.
It was no nonsense.
I know what I want.
I know what I want, and I'm not settling for less.
Yes, and had he been younger, years younger, he'd
You're
still
playing
just be
around.
trying
You're
to
playing
find
around.
somebody to play
You know,
around with or
I
somebody to
know.
save.
Yeah, I know for a fact that there are a lot of young men who probably listen to this conversation and remember the days when their dad used to tell them that, hey, all this womanizing that you're going on with, it's not
It's
worth
a
it.
waste of time.
Because they have been through it and they have done the same thing,
Yes.
but they learned and they were told the same thing, but they learned.
And
So age comes with discipline.
yes. And love, we said experience teaches wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm a firm believer, and I preach this to myself. You don't have to go through hell to learn a lesson. So even though experience teaches wisdom, learning from the experiences of others is even wiser. Like the recommendation,
Yeah.
don't mess around with these women. It's not worth your
Yeah.
time.
But sometimes when I hear,
Learning from that is wiser, and it saves you the
it
heartache.
saves you
But
the
a lot of
heartache.
times
A lot of times it
we
takes
want to dig our
failure.
own pit, and we want to fall
Yeah,
into our
it
own
takes
pit.
failure for us to learn from our
Yes.
mistakes.
And it's so sad.
Yeah, it takes failure, and that's another thing that older individuals have. They have the opportunity to learn from their failures.
Yes.
Guys, you need to read the book What Makes Love Last by John Gottman and Nan Silver,
Yes.
and the 7 principles of making marriage work. That book have contributed significantly to our marriage, and I'm telling you guys that I've learned so many things in those 2 books. And that's another thing. In marriage, you need a mentor. It's not a if, nor but, nor maybe.
Yes.
The idea that you already have the prize, so you're going to relax, speaking to both men and women,
It's very
you're
false.
setting yourselves up for failure. You need a mentor. You need a relationship mentor, whether it's in the form of a book, a podcast, or something. You need a relationship mentor.
And let me give the testimony.
Mhm.
I remember at one point where I had been asking you a couple questions. Do you think we could improve in any way?
Yeah.
And it was because I was just at this place where I know I have what I want and I'm living my dream, but I do not want to relax. I want to continue to show up as my best self, not just image wise, but character wise. And I started listening to Dr. Daff. Shout out to Dr. Daff. And started listening to Dr. Daff and watching the Dr. Daff show. And I learned so much about femininity and being a woman and a godly wife.
Not feminism. Femininity. 2 different things.
Femininity and how to be a feminine woman in a 360 view.
Right.
And I remember I listened to it consistently every single day, like a ritual. And I remember you had said to me at one point, everything just seems so different in our relationship now. What's going on? Not that we have any crazy issues, but you noticed it that there was some calm. And it was because I had that constant voice of
That
reason,
mentor.
that mentor
Yes.
in my mind to keep me on track. You have to constantly feed
Yeah,
that
it's no
side.
different. Just like how you
And
have
if
a
you
spiritual
stop-
mentor,
yeah,
you need a
if you stop
relationship
feeding it,
mentor.
you will notice, because I notice
When
when
you
I
stop.
stopped. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's very important to have a mentor.
It's very important
Absolutely
to have that.
important.
Very important. Right. And you can clearly see that older men just have more time to be
Yeah.
financially developed.
That's so true. At 21, 22, young adults, early 20s, they have not had the time to accumulate emotional practice, financial history, relationship patterns, or life responsibilities. And this in no way makes them lesser.
Right.
It just means that readiness is just going to be coming later.
Yes, and that is important. Financial stability is time dependent.
Absolutely.
Right? And someone who have had that time is objectively more prepared than a young man in their early 20s, 21, 22, 23, 24. And that's the reality. Young men need time.
They do. And as you always say, babe,
Right.
there's always the 1%. But exceptions do not erase the trends we are seeing.
Right. And statistically and developmentally,
Mm-hmm.
as we have pointed out, that older men, someone in their 30s, 32, 33, 34, who would have taken time to be emotionally developed, listen to the conversation, emotionally developed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who would have taken the time to be physically developed, listen to the conversation, who would have taken the time to be mentally prepared for marriage
Mm-hmm.
is far more
And
prepared.
financially.
And
Don't
financially as
forget
well. And
financially.
financially as well.
Yes.
That's the four milestones,
Yes.
right? Is just way more prepared than
The average 20
the
year
average
old
20,
who has
22,
not
20,
had
you know?
any time to find themselves, yet alone a job. Yes.
And what is important here to note, my wife, my lovely wife,
Mm-hmm.
is that marriage is not something you figure out inside of it. It reveals what was already there.
Absolutely.
So any weakness you have
It amplifies
or
it.
had, it
Absolutely.
amplifies it. When I got married at 22 years old, I was learning how to be an husband.
Mm.
And there's even this guy who shared his story. So, a Christian young man got married at 22 years old. His wife cheated within the first few weeks of his
Wow.
marriage. And even throughout his conversation, he was learning how to be an husband.
Mm-hmm.
Historical men were not learning how to be husbands,
That was
they
their bread and butter. They
knew how to
knew.
be
Yes.
husbands. And that is why I keep saying that age must be used as a predictor because time is important with readiness. Age and readiness, it correlates. Both goes hand in hand,
Mm-hmm.
right? And of course, for a woman, you need to focus on a man who has taken that time to prepare to be a husband. And for a man, you need to focus on a woman who has spent that time to prepare herself to become a wife.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are a lot of people, both on both sides of the coin, both men and women, who are at the age, but they did not spend the time to prepare themselves to be husbands and
Yeah.
wives. And you have to have the spirit of discernment to be able to discern that, to understand that, hey, you are 34, you are 35, but mentally, emotionally, you are not there. You are there financially, physically on the outside, you look good, but there's no substance on the inside. You are not
Mm-hmm.
speaking marital language.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes. And what we need to understand is that marriage is not the place where you go and learn discipline or learn how to be a leader
Right,
or even figure it out. It's not a place where you figure it out. You'd have to have done the work before, come to the table a whole person, prepared for everything that will happen there. And that is the only way you won't break.
right.
And
So,
even when there are people that come to the relationship whole and
mhm,
together,
mhm.
and it still breaks. How much more of a disadvantage
And
is someone at
sometimes the
if there
balance
is
is
no
not
readiness?
there is no equality.
Mhm,
There is no equality, and that's where we talk about equally yoked.
mhm.
Again,
Absolutely.
we have stressed that,
So you could
you
come
know,
to the relationship whole, but if you're
the
not
other person is
suitable
not
and you're not
there.
you
They're
are
not equally yoked.
you all are not
Equally
equally
yoked.
yoked or suitable for each other, it's still not going to work.
Right. So you need to do that work. You need to be emotionally regulated.
Yes.
Right? You need to have that self discipline. As a man, you need to know that when you see distractions out there, when you see those women, you see them as distractions. And you either lower your gaze or you focus on the path.
I love
Stay
that.
on the pilgrim's path, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because distractions will be everywhere, but you must have the self discipline. And if you are 22 years old, 23, what kind of time do you have to go through those phases of your life where you can rid yourself of what I would call fleshly desires? right? It takes time to get rid of fleshly desires when even as a Christian young man. It takes time, it takes focus, it takes discipline to be able to reach to that place as a young man where you can say, I am walking in the light.
And I'm locked in.
You know, God's strength is made perfect in my weakness, right? I know that I am a carnal man, but I have done the work.
Yeah.
You know,
Discipline.
I have done the work. I have aligned myself spiritually on the path and I am walking in righteousness. So now I am at a place where I know that I have no fleshy desires, right? My eyes are not wandering, right? I am not going with the wind. I am not easily influenced. You need to be developed enough. And that's why women always stress that they want a godly man, not because they really want the man to be godly, At least that's my belief. My analysis when I hear women ask about these things, not all women, of course, but a lot of women, because when you look at the type of women that ask for a godly man, you're wondering like, you're an IG body,
So
and
why
you're
do you
an
think
asking.
they're asking for
I
a
think that
godly man?
they ask for a godly man because they know that a man who is led by God is a man who
A little
would
bit
have
more anchored emotionally.
would have been anchored emotionally and would have had time to really develop themselves to get to that spiritual level
That place
where
of
where
discipline.
they have conquered the flesh. Or not necessarily conquered the flesh, but they're a little bit more disciplined in their walk.
Yeah.
Right? That's the only reason, because a lot of these women who ask for godly men, they themselves need Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and going back to the comments, babe, looking at that video.
Yes.
I don't think what I don't even remember the name of that video, but looking back at the comment section, the debate was, a lot of people were saying that age is just a number, and age should not be used as the predictor or the measuring stick. But when you really think about it, when you understand scientifically from a developmental standpoint, you will, and this is a developmental truth.
Yeah.
To say that age is just a number or age
is not important.
Is not important, it's just you being intellectually dishonest.
Absolutely.
Or you just don't understand what you're talking about.
Yes,
that's
true. Mm-hmm.
And the question I would have for you, babe, is why do you believe that there were so many resistance, especially from women in the comment section?
There's a lot of pushback from women because a lot of women want to secure their man. They want the security, they want the commitment, and they are afraid of waiting. I'm going back to the song, baby, where's my husband?
Right.
I've been waiting so long. A lot of women have been waiting, and and as we going back to the beginning, there are a lot of women, despite the economic climate right now, that are still optimistic about marriage.
Yes.
So they were trying to shoot down any resistance to them finding their husband, even if he's 20.
Yeah.
They want their husband.
Yeah. I mean, it's contradictory because you want this man who falls in the 1% bracket, but a 20-year-old or early 20s-year-old guy is not going to be able to give.
They want the
that.
companionship. Nobody wants to be alone.
True, but a lot of women want the companionship with the financial stability, and that financial stability is not just stability. They want the financial freedom.
But they'll see what they get.
Yeah,
they'll see what they get.
Yeah, but that's another conversation for another time.
But going back to that episode on Pop the Balloon or Find Love, that peacocking guy said that he had this thing, the 50-50, then the 60.
In the first few years.
He did this percentage thing of how his responsibilities and hers would play out over the scale of 10 years. At 10 years, at year 10, he'd take on 100% of the responsibilities and she'd be retired. And the young woman said, I am not here looking about what you are going to provide for
me. That's 1%.
Maybe that 1% is in our comment section saying that I don't care if he's 20.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I don't care if he's 21.
Yeah, I mean, I keep saying this. People talk about relationship as though it's a one-time deal. And people need to understand that marriage is not a one-time deal where you sign an automatic thing to say until death do us part. And what people need to understand is that marriage takes work.
It does.
You have to be mature to handle that responsibility, right? It takes work. It's not a one-time deal until death do us part. And a lot of people get caught up in the idea that because they have done numbers, because I am 10 years in, because I'm 16 years in, because I am 26 years in, it means that I can
You've
beat my
arrived.
chest.
Yes.
You know, and we have learned that we are to be humbled, humble in our marital journey, because we have seen it. Just recently, I told you about the news where a 99-year-old man divorced his wife.
Yes, you were telling me
because she found out that she cheated in the marriage. And they have been married for donkey years. But guess what? Statistically and reality, that's a failed marriage.
Yeah.
At 99 years old, babe, they have done numbers.
They have done some
numbers.
time.
So whether you are 56 years in or 77 years in, if there's anybody who have lived that long, the reality is if you did not make it to the until death do us part, that's a failed marriage.
Sadly.
That's a failed marriage, and it doesn't matter what numbers you have done.
And that's why it's important to be humble.
It is important to be humble.
It is so important to be
beat your chest
humble.
and talk about,
I'm this much in,
we
or
got
I'm this
married when
much
we were
in a-
22 years
like,
old, and now we have been married
sit
for
down.
26 years. You
Be
not,
humble.
you have not reached
It's important.
yet. The only
Pride comes
marriages
before a fall.
exactly, and the only marriages that have statistically proven to be successful marriages are marriages that ended in until death do us part, and it's not a lot.
It's less than
It's
less
not
than
a lot.
1%.
Thank God for some of you who can say my grandmother and grandfather was married from they were
God bless
16.
them.
God bless their hearts. Can you say the same? Can your children come and say the same about yours?
Or your grandparents? Can you say that about your parents?
Our hope is that our children will be able, or even if it's not our children, somebody who knows us and Unfiltered Heart Talks will say, oh, they've been together
since high school.
Since high school, and they're, the husband died.
Or the wife died.
No, the husband died. Or both, are they both?
They both died. Like the Titanic,
and that's how
they died
and that's how their marriage ended. That's what we desire. But we're humble about that because we understand life
we
and the
understand how
realities
fragile
of life.
it is and how ego and pride can step in and cause relationships to fail. Humility is important in sustaining any relationship.
Yeah, babe, and wanting marriage. Well, I'll let you say this.
Yes, babe. Because I want it to come from me. I don't want the ladies to believe that you're bashing them, right?
You're right.
Wanting marriage does not mean someone is ready for marriage. And pressuring someone into getting married does not create stability or even readiness. So I've heard of situations, I'm sure men do it too, where women, they're on fire to get married. I hear about men, in the case of men in theology, on fire to get married. But in general, mostly women want to get married.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, there's pressure placed on the guy.
Yeah.
The guy does not have nothing.
Yeah.
And the pressure is placed on him, marry me, marry me, marry me. And then they end up together and the marriage does not last. So ladies, don't do that. And men, specifically, men in ministerial theology, humble yourself. You're not ready. You're not ready. Don't allow anyone within the school of religion and theology,
Christian community
or
pressure,
your desire to be accepted by the conference, force you into a relationship or a marriage when you're not ready. Develop yourself. Take that time.
And for Christians too,
and
general.
for Christians too. But it's specifically heavier on the male side in the religious and theology sphere.
Right. And we agree 100% that readiness is the requirement for marriage.
Yeah.
However, age significantly increases the probability of marriage readiness.
Absolutely.
And that's the message we have been sending right throughout the conversation. So if we see any crazy comment in here, I'm going to be on y'all's case.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is where I want to say, because I've spoken about this before, but I want to reiterate, I want to re-emphasize, I want to minister to young men. Do not sacrifice your growth, purpose, stability, or future just to check a box. Do not, do not make the mistake of delaying your life for marriage. As I have encouraged and I have stressed, please, young men, you are doing justice to yourself, you are doing justice to your future wife when you prepare yourself before marriage. And you need to understand that a house built weekly cannot in no way, by no means, hold a family well. So you need to understand that. Focus on your purpose. And your purpose is God's creation. That was your first responsibility, to take care of God's creation. And a part of that creation, a part of that purpose is the wife. You need to be prepared to take care of her. And that is my message to young men.
Guys, you made it this far. So this is our question to you. Do you believe that men in their 20s, specifically their early 20s, are ready for marriage? Please let us know in the comment section below.
And my question is, do you think that a woman in her early 20s is prepared for marriage in
Good
the 21st
question.
century? Let us know in the comment section below.
Yes. I do remember us posting something on our community tab. We asked, when you were in your early 20s,
Were
how
you prepared?
prepared
Yeah.
were you for marriage? So, guys, if you definitely want to go scouting on our page, go ahead and find that post on our community tab. It's a poll. You can vote there and let us know.
Or we
How
can
ready were
reopen the
you?
poll.
Yeah, it's actually still open. They can still vote. Go over to our community tab and find that post and vote. How ready were you in your 20s for marriage, if you are married? And if you are in your 20s right now, how prepared do you feel to take on the responsibilities of marriage? Let us know.
And just to wrap it up again, preparedness is the requirement, age is the accelerator.
Yeah.
Right? So both goes hand in hand.
Absolutely.
And that's important.
Yeah.
All right, guys, tell us what you think about this video. Comment down below. Let's have a conversation.
And as always, we welcome you to like our video, share it with someone, and subscribe to the Unfiltered Heart Talks family.
And guys, in closing,
This is Unfiltered Heart Talks, and you deserve this kind of love.
A love that is honest,
A love that is safe,
and
a love that is aligned with God's design.
See you guys for another one.
Our love isn't absent problems, but it sure is absent drama. You deserve this kind of love. Unfiltered Heart Talks with the Dawkins.